You are listening to episode 4 of the Peaceful Mind podcast. Welcome to the Peaceful Mind podcast, a place for creating the peace of mind you need to be the best mom you were created by God to be. If you want to bring more balance, more joy, and more peace to your motherhood, this is the place for you. I'm your host, certified life coach and Catholic mom, Danielle Tienel. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, let's get started. Welcome back. How are you? I am happy to be with you to talk about making peace a priority. This is, after all, what I'm about these days. It's what my coaching practice's mission is, and it's also not as hard as you may think. My own story is a testament to how making peace a priority can profoundly shift every aspect of your life. This shift comes from the decision to make searching and sustaining peace front and center of your motherhood and your life. Now, you're going to want to stay tuned until the end of the episode because I'm going to share with you how to get a copy of my free guide that speaks directly to today's topic, where you'll be able to download a PDF, then you can save it or share it with any of your busy Catholic mom friends who may want help with having more peace in their life. I do have 2 caveats, however, I must mention before we dive into the steps on how to making peace a priority in your life. And that is when or if you hear me mentioning things you think are impossible to try at this point in your motherhood, or you think you can't do them now because your hands are too full or your life is too overwhelming, then go back and listen to podcast episode number 3, The Power of Questions, and instead ask yourself, do I want and am I ready to make peace a priority in my life? And if the answer is yes, then ask more positive questions like, what are all the ways this could be the perfect time to get started on this path to peace once and for all? The second caveat is a promise I'd like you to make, and that promise is that you won't guilt or shame yourself out of doing the steps because you've tried them before and never got traction with making time with God or a regular dedicated prayer time or peace of mind in general a priority before. Giving up before you start, especially if increasing your relationship with Christ, the Prince of Peace, is a true desire of your heart, to only pile more guilt on top of an already guilt-ridden motherhood is the opposite of getting to peace. So promise yourself here and now that you'll stop it if you feel guilt or overwhelm coming on as we walk through the steps. Okay? We good there? And ready to dive into making peace a priority? Let's do it. The first step is to determine your, quote, why, and like your reason. What I mean by your why is, why are you ready to seek peace? Why do you want to feel peace? What do you imagine is a good reason for you to have it in your life? I mean, you may feel peace some of the time and it may come and go in your life, but I'm talking about why you would want to have a deep, non-fleeting, everlasting peace, even when, and especially when, the challenges, struggles, and strife of this human life we live come into play for you. If you are anything like I was, which was on a merry-go-round of doing more, juggling many things, feeling spent and overwhelmed, people-pleasing, lacking self-care, having mental gymnastics of doubt and frustration and disappointment because I couldn't do it all perfectly, then you would relate. I was trying to control everything, which surely is not a step toward peace. And for me, finally, because of falling sick with the flu and being forced to be still physically, which translated to stillness in my mind, only then could I recognize the tug in my heart to make a change. Do you feel that tug, that desire or feeling for having more peace? Maybe a sort of restlessness and discontent within you? You may feel it there still, despite having tried many times before to quench it. And perhaps reaching a peaceful state sometimes has been enough, but now you want to not let one bump in the road knock you out of peace again. Well, every new project we undertake needs to have a sustaining reason for why you want to obtain or accomplish it in the first place. So in this first essential step, I am just inviting you to dig and search for that why reason behind it. This is the only way to start and, more importantly, sustain you when you get discouraged or mess up or forget why you started making peace a priority in the first place. My why to making peace a priority in my life was the importance of feeling like I was doing a good job as a mom. It sounds ridiculous now that I could have doubted it before, but I'm sure you too have beaten yourself up for constant missteps that undoubtedly happen as we are challenged by the daily life of rearing and bringing up children. I wanted to be able to recover more quickly when I, quote, failed as a mom. I wanted to shorten the time of feeling awful for not being good enough in the million things I was attempting to do well. Now that I follow the steps I'm laying out here, I do feel peaceful. Especially I am at peace knowing I can more quickly return to peace when I'm not in it, when I mess up as a mom. So what's your why? Why do you want to make peace a priority in your life? When you are thinking about and determining it as your first step here, make sure it's big enough, strong enough, and powerful enough to keep you moving forward on the journey towards it. The second step is to gather courage. Whenever we embark on a new path to reach a goal, it is not uncommon to weigh the risk factors, to take stock of all that is ahead and feel fearful of what we perceive as trying to do something hard. Feeling uncomfortable, like when we start a weight loss journey and believe we will have to deprive ourselves of anything that tastes good or is fun for us to eat, makes us create all this fear of what it will be like. But instead of derailing yourself before you even begin, gather courage. Focus on what you do have to keep you feeling courageous. And in this regards, I suggest this focus to be your faith. Faith is the one power against fear for which fear cannot remain intact. If we have faith, even the size of a mustard seed, nothing is impossible when you shift your mind from fear to faith. Luke 17, verses 5 through 10, includes the words from Jesus. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you would say to this mulberry tree, be uprooted and planted in the sea, and it would obey you. You will stop creating the subject of your fear and instead create the object of faith when you take courage along for the journey of making peace a priority in your motherhood and your life. The third step is to make a commitment. Now that you've come up with your strong personal reason why, you want finally to make peace a real priority in your life, and you've also gathered courage through faith to get started, it's time to commit. It's time to make a real commitment to not quitting. No matter how many times I have tried and failed, stopped and started again, or forgotten my why and then remembered, the reason why I now can sustain, maintain, or at the very least bring myself back to feeling peace is because I am committed to this worthy endeavor, committed to strengthening my relationship with Christ, who is the Prince of Peace, who provides the true everlasting kind. I owe it to myself to not give up, to keep showing up, to follow through on a commitment that is this important. I may have to recommit over and over when I don't always get these steps worked out perfectly in my life, but if I keep committing, then I know I won't fail, because failing would only come if I gave up on it, gave up on myself, and I'm not willing to do that. So this third step is to make a commitment to make peace a priority in your life, and then you will achieve peace from this place of not giving up, even when life springs a challenge your way. Step 4, there is no tougher step, or should I say one that stops moms in their tracks and turn the other direction than the next step I'll present, which is carve out the time. But listen up, hear me out now, because what I am presenting is not like adding yet one more thing to your already long list of obligations and responsibilities, but what I want to offer is that these steps of making peace a priority just might be the one most important thing to add to your list and spend your time doing. I know that the struggle us moms have with time and schedules and being busy is real. It's probably the number one struggle my clients come to me for help with. Let's think about this. What we want is to feel peace about our lives. You already have a deep desire to feel more peace and step out of overwhelm, stress, guilt, and all the other negative feeling emotions that don't serve you or your motherhood. So despite having fear and recognizing a desire to have more peace of mind, plus becoming committed to making peace a priority in your life, the next step is to actually carve out some dedicated time daily to step into God's presence. You know He won't make you do this because He gave us free will. But He will wait patiently for you to just make some time for Him. And in return, He promises to strengthen your faith, deepen your friendship, build trust, receive guidance, receive clarity, and ultimately step into His grace of peace. As you do this daily and bring the sacrifice of your time, which actually doesn't have to be that much or hours at a time like you may believe, then doesn't it actually put into perspective a little bit that maybe, just maybe, carving out some time each day is of the most important of all that is on your calendar? What that might look like for you could be different from me, for we all have our own family routines and ways. But nonetheless, you can make it work for your own individual time constraints. So what's left is the last step, step 5, the actual taking of actions to connect. Actually taking the daily action to connect during the time you have carved out to use. It's following through on your time set aside. It's showing up for yourself. It's honoring the commitment you made to make peace a priority. It's spending the time to move beyond the theory of prayer and spending time with God, the source of peace, and actually putting it into practice. I could offer you a list of actual actions to do, including Mass, novenas, adoration, saying a rosary, reading the Bible, etc. They are all wonderful. They are all essential and for sure a tremendous source of peace and a part of our Catholic faith. But I am also offering that it can also be what works for you in your stage of motherhood right now. It can be 5 minutes of silent prayer as you nurse your newborn. It can be talking to God out loud while you're doing your thing around the house. Or journal to Him while waiting in the school pickup line if you like to write. It's listening to an audio version of the Bible while you're out on a walk. There are so many ways to discover if you just do a little brainstorming on what works for you and your current life circumstances. Do you know that even just having the awareness to whisper His name, Jesus, is enough sometimes to be overcome with His everlasting peace? For me, I take the action of dedicating quiet devotional prayer and meditation time at my special spot in the corner of my bedroom every morning first thing. Well, first thing after I grab a cup of coffee and sometimes maybe tidy up a bit, but it's in the morning time for sure. It started out small when I first made this commitment to make peace a priority, but honestly, I can't get enough of it now and often have to force myself to stop reading the Gospels or say one more prayer card offering. I cherish the time spent seeking peace so much, and God has not disappointed. Because I have shown up for Him consistently through not always being perfect, He has given me such peace and clarity and joy and discernment. The list of positive, peaceful outcomes goes on and on, really. It has taken time to develop this habit, and I have learned to be flexible and also compassionate with myself when I don't, quote, feel like it or show up fully, but I know it's the way. Making peace a priority is the way to having and feeling peace. So let's just revisit the 5 steps I laid out here that are similar, but also a little different from the guide I have to offer you to download, print, and share. Step 1, determine your why. That is, know the reason behind making peace a priority in your life and like your reason, for this is what will sustain you as you develop the habit further. Step 2, gather courage. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Fight your fear with your faith. Step 3, make a commitment. Commit to not quit. If you fail, start again. Make giving up not an option. Step 4, carve out the time. Find and show up for a predetermined time and space, one that works for you and your family life at its current state. Step 5, take action of connecting. Do the worthy work that is the way to peace by spending dedicated time with God daily in the many available ways for prayer, conversion, and for receiving the grace of peace. Okay, so as promised, here is how you can get a hold of my free guide, Making God a Priority, a guide to peace for busy Catholic moms. Go to danielletienel.com. That's Danielletienel.com/free guide. Or you can also access it from a link in the show notes of today's episode. Feel free to download, print, and/or share it with your friends and loved ones. Thank you, faith-filled friends, for joining me today, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Peaceful Mind Podcast. Are you ready to take everything I teach you here and put it to work for your own life? To really learn how to have peace of mind no matter what is happening around you? If so, I'd love to have you as a client. As your coach, this is where you'll get personal and focused time on your own mind, using life coaching tools, concepts, and proven life-transforming wisdom, all through a faith-filled lens. To learn more about how we can work together, come on over to danielletienel.com. There, you'll see how to sign up for a free coaching consult and learn how to get started. Until next time, peace be with you always.